Hi, I'm Pastor Kurt, and this is your 5-minute Bible study. Today, we're going to look at Acts chapter 19, verses 21 through 41. This section is about a riot that is taking place in the city of Ephesus. Okay, so why is there a riot in the first place? As we've been seeing in these previous videos, and as we've been reading through the book of Acts, we could see that Paul has been telling people about Jesus, which is great. Except here in Ephesus. There's a guy named Demetrius, and he's a silversmith. And his job is to make the shrines for the goddess Artemis. So he is basically one of the people who build the altars to some of these other gods. Now, in a previous video, I talked about Paul in Athens, looking at all these altars to all these other gods and seeing the altar to the unknown God, and then telling people that this unknown God is the one he knows, it's Jesus. Well, there are altars all over the place. And Demetrius is speaking up to the people saying, there's this guy, Paul, and he's telling people to follow Jesus and not follow the gods that we build these altars for. And since people are listening to him, they're not buying our stuff. And we're about to be out of a job. Demetrius's focus is only on his own self-preservation. He just wants to keep his job. And he ends up stirring up the crowd, especially all of the other artisans and all of the people who still worship these other gods, and they end up chanting, "Great is Artemis of the Ephesians." And this crowd gets this energy, they start this chant. It's almost like, okay, what are we going to do to settle down this crowd? Well, along comes the town clerk. We aren't told this person's name, just that he's a town clerk. And he speaks up, gets everybody's attention, and says, okay, listen up, guys. Everybody here knows that Artemis is great, right? Everybody can agree on that. So you can stop chanting it. You don't need to convince anybody here that Artemis is great. We already know that, so settle down. Well, when Demetrius and the others heard that, they listen, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's true, right? Because Paul's not listening to them. They're not going to convince Paul to suddenly give up his mission and follow Artemis instead of Jesus. So this town clerk tells everybody, he's like, okay, calm down. Everybody knows that Artemis is great, so shut up about it. If you don't shut up about it, then all of us could get in trouble for causing a riot. And don't do that to us. Everybody simmers down, they calm down, and everybody disperses and goes to their own home. This town clerk kind of saved the day here. Before things got really out of hand, he's the one who calmed down the crowd. Okay, so why does this scene matter for us? What's the deal? Most of this scene is about Demetrius and the fellow artisans and this town clerk. Paul shows up at the very beginning, and then he kind of disappears for a little bit. So how does this matter in our lives? Well, think about things today that can so easily stir up people. When people get stirred up, usually it's for their own self-preservation. They're speaking up about something that is important to them. In this case, Demetrius was speaking up because he and his fellow artisans were about to be out of a job because of Paul. They're casting Paul as the bad guy here and themselves as the good guys. Let's keep our jobs. Let's cast out Paul, right? That sort of thing. Well, but then the town clerk comes along, and he's the one who gets everybody to calm down. In these times when people are so riled up about something, sometimes they just need someone to bring some calm to them. And I know in that moment when people are so worked up with their emotions, sometimes it's hard to listen to like a logical, reasonable argument. But thankfully, that's what happened to this crowd in Ephesus. They listened to the town clerk. Sometimes when you know somebody who is so caught up in their emotions, sometimes the best thing you can do for them is not get caught up in yours so that you can help them settle down. Think, for example, if you're a parent and you have a child who's just super caught up in something emotional right now, you are trying to calm them down and not get pulled into this vortex of emotions that are going on with them. And the reason they're so upset is because of something with them. Something has hurt them, or they feel something and they're taking it personally, just like Demetrius did. But you, like this town clerk, can bring some calm, one, by not getting pulled into their emotional storm, and two, by simply reminding them, reminding them that things are going to be okay. Which is basically what this clerk was reminding people. He's like, everybody already knows Artemis is great, and if you keep going, you're going to cause a riot, so settle down. Sometimes that kind of presence and that calm is a great way of showing Jesus' love to people. We're not told that the town clerk was showing Jesus' love to people, but in those actions, in that behavior, in that way of settling down the crowd, that's kind of what we see. So whether it's Paul out there proclaiming the name of Jesus to people in a very bold way, or whether it's someone like this town clerk who just helps the crowd settle down, both of them and many more are great ways of sharing Jesus' love with others. There's your 5-minute Bible study. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.